Hey guys, uber excited. I got some great gifts from the friends at Watt and Dunn, and I want to kind of show them off for you today. So we're talking about some hand grips. Anyone that knows me knows I've had a terrible time with my hands. That being said, they are buttery smooth right now, and I like to keep them like that. So what do we have here? We have a bunch of different things. We have some hook grip, Watt and Dunn hand placements, some hand wraps, which is awesome. As well as we have some wraps that are for my hands. So they sent me a bunch of these. I definitely think I'm going to need these for sure. So let's read through the instructions, then we'll rip them out. So the first thing is apply to dry hands. So my hands are dry. That's a good thing. And there's a whole lot of other stuff. That's my brief read through of instructions. I'm not going to spend too much time reading through them. Hopefully nothing bad happens to me. Let's do the unveiling and see what they look like. Yeah, we tied this thing tight. I want to make sure no one gets in here. Ooh. All right, so let's see what we got here. Okay, this is pretty crazy. These finger holes are relatively small. I don't know how I could... Are you supposed to put your fingers in there? Yeah, you are. This is going to be a serious situation to get my fingers in these holes, but we'll make it happen. All right, so let me just figure out how I use this. Once I figure out, I'll post up some of my my highlights through using their material. Once again, thank you to the makers at Watt and Dunn for supplying me with the material that are going to help me perform at my highest ability. Now we're going to go eat. It's Wednesday, so it's Wednesday at 8 o'clock to be exact. No, it's a little bit late, but it only makes sense. It's dinner time. I'm hungry, so we're gonna have a good feature today. What we're gonna be doing is we're cooking some bunless burgers. We're gonna use some portobello mushrooms and some sweet potatoes. It's gonna be fun. You're gonna get to see how I throw down like Bobby Flay or Gordon Ramsay. Isn't it crazy that I heard one time that apparently all of our water running is recycled like spit and urine from like years and years and years ago. So the next glass of water you're drinking could potentially be St. Louis the 13th's spit. It's messed up. What we have here, we have a little sweet potato, an avocado, we have a bleep ton of beef, but anyone that knows me knows I'm a very large individual, so you know how it's going down. We have some portobello mushrooms. We have some eggs. No, we're not using all 18 eggs, so don't get excited. Tomatoes, some red onion, and if you've watched any of the other series, you'll see that the cherry black pepper has made another comeback, as well as the pink Himalayan sea salt. Let's get cracking. It's ironic because taking a break here from this cooking thing is hard work. It's ironic because I just spoke to a client recently and I mentioned them. I said, hey, listen, we were talking about meal companies and what their benefit is to the health and wellness world, and I definitely think they do have a place. But I think it's really interesting to note that I don't think that they're quite there yet. So while health and wellness and personal training and working out has kind of been pushed to the forefront of our psyche, I feel like meal prep places in terms of their value to the average consumer is not quite there yet. And I just think that they're a few years behind. And I think, honestly, there's still something to be said about, immersing with your food. I think, especially if you have a fitness goal, whether it be weight loss, weight gain, strength, whatever the case might be, being able to touch your food, being able to feel your food, being able to interact with your food, I think is a really big proponent to health and wellness. And the more that you're able to do that, I think the better off you are as a person. Portobello mushrooms, are excellent for many reasons. One of the biggest reasons why I use them, we talk a lot about trying to avoid, carbs and such. If anyone's ever had a portobello mushroom, you can tell you this: they're super meaty, super chewy, so they give you that effect of almost having a bun.
if you're thinking of doing something like, a hamburger or a sandwich. So, when you see the final product, you kind of get a feel of what I'm talking about. I got asked on the last film what kind of oil I use. Really straightforward. Kirkland Signature organic virgin coconut oil. I tend to use coconut oil for about 90% of the food that I eat. If I'm not using coconut oil, it'll be just a regular olive oil. Don't get too stuck up on the oils and the stuff that you're putting in. The simple reality is the oil is not what's making you fat for the most part, but it can definitely help. So that being said, if you're ever at Costco, grab a Kirkland Signature. It's not a bad choice. Another thing I've learned about this training thing is that, you're constantly wanting to eat and, trying to switch that mentality of being afraid to eat and, feeling, like you're overeating is super important. I think as long as you have the right tools at your disposal, understanding that, your caloric intake will obviously have to increase and what you're intaking is going to be important. I think that's hugely vital for your recovery as well as your performance in the coming days. And for me, that's really been a staple for my success in the long run is understanding that and really being proactive rather than reactive with my food, guys. So we have our burgers here. They're prepped, ready to go. Take a look on in here. We got our sweet potato fries. They're getting cooked. Probably got to turn them, move them around in a little bit, but they're well on their way to success. And now the next thing we got to do is we got to do the portobello here. So particularly because we're doing burgers and we want our contents to sit right in the inside of the portobello, what you want to think about is flipping it over. Be gentle. They're very fragile. You don't want to break your portobello. It's a whole big issue. You're just going to grab the little stem. You think about pulling that out. Pops out really quick. You're going to throw that aside. Get your spoon, and we're just going to kind of scrape out the contents of the inside. All right, so really straightforward. Take your time. I know some of you guys are a little bit stronger than the average person, so don't think of this as a bicep curl. This is really, really gentle. Just kind of work your way through until you get a little bit of a concave texture, and there's as little black in it as possible. You can kind of throw that to the side, and then you have the inside of a successful portobello mushroom. We got our burgers. They're grilling. They're looking juicy. If it weren't for the fact that I'm afraid of raw meat, I'd probably just take a bite. With that in the serious third-degree burn, I would acquire. But nonetheless, honestly, I like to throw them right onto the pan. I don't normally use any oil for these burgers. The fat itself, I let the burgers cook in their own fat. This is a medium beef, so it tends to have enough fat to really get a good cook on its own. So that's what I like to use for the burgers themselves. And voila, there we have it. So we have our sweet potato fries right here. We have our bunless burgers over there. As you can see, the bottom layer is our portobello mushroom face up. Then we have our meat. We have some red onion in there. And we have our fried eggs, a little sunny side up concoction that we have going on the top here. And some beautiful avocado. Not to mention, see that little cheese peeking up there? That is Daya cheese. If you haven't heard about it, go read about it and then go buy it. When we talk about health, I wouldn't say it's any more healthy than regular cheese. That's not something in terms of a statement I would make. That being said, it doesn't have lactose in it, so it's a great alternative for some of you lactose intolerant individuals. And for me, I honestly think it tastes just like cheese, but you ask somebody else and they might tell you differently, but I don't really care. I eat whatever's in front of me. Well, this is what we have in terms of our concoction. I'm about to go tear into it. Got my jug of water. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and I wish you were here eating with me. And no, this is not an advertisement for Cutco, but when I was younger, I used to actually work at Cutco. I can tell you some good things. If you ever want me to do a demo for you, feel free to reach out and I'll come swing through and